showed up at Sound City. What is this place? Because I don't know that we can make a record in here.
When you walk into Sound City, you either love it or hate it.
It looks kind of dumpy.
Brown shag carpet on the wall. That's the kind of thing that you would do to your van.
Hello everybody, I am Peter Travers. Welcome to this special Sundance edition of Popcorn. We're here at the Washington Schoolhouse Hotel with cookies. And we're going to talk about a movie. Yeah, you can have them, Dave.
Can I have
really,
one?
But you can. You can do, even though I haven't introduced you. How rude.
Oh, sorry.
No, you must be good for 1 second.
Sorry.
Yes. And everybody's talking about the movie Sound City by some guy that does some kind of music, but now he's a film director and he's right here. So I ask everybody to say who they are and what the hell they're doing in Sundance. Who are you?
My name's Dave Grohl. I'm a musician. I play in a band called Foo Fighters, and I made a movie called Sound City about a recording studio in the San Fernando Valley that closed last year. It's a little deeper than that.
It's so deeper.
But
it's so deeper. It's not just Sound City isn't just any little thing at the corner of Van Nuys. And I love how you open the movie with showing this thing beginning and what a dump this place is.
Yes.
Somebody, I forget who says it, but they say you can go pee in the corner and nobody will really know.
That was my good friend Joe Barisi.
That's it, right, that was it.
Well, that was funny. It was one of the first questions I asked every person that I interviewed. I mean, I got to interview Neil Young and Fleetwood Mac and Tom Petty and all of these legends. And the first question I would say, what was your first impression when you walked into Sound City? And almost everyone said it was a hole. It was a dump. Except for Mick Fleetwood, because he was there in '73 when it was state of the art. He was like, it was great. But yeah, I mean, you know, to talk to these people about music, you know, when I decided to make the film, it wasn't really just a retrospective documentary about the history of the studio. I wanted everyone to get into the human element of music and what it is when people get together in a room and make music. Whether it's people getting together and being creative, whether it's the family that owns the studio, the runners that worked there. You listen to music, it comes through your speakers, and you don't usually take those things into consideration, you know. But there's so much more depth to music, you know. There's people's lives behind music and studios. People don't consider the old mixing console because who would really? I mean, it's just
because
this hunk of wires.
Yeah.
But those things in the room, those things are just as instrumental as any song running through them. So if it weren't for that board, I don't know what Nirvana's Nevermind would have sounded like, and I might not be here today. So when the studio closed and they were selling the board and they decided to sell it to me, it was like one of the most important moments of my life, that I'm reunited with this piece of equipment that I believe is responsible for me being the person that I am now.
What you've done in this, I think what makes it so remarkable is that the human quality is there. The family is in that studio, which somehow digs its DNA into this music that you're all making, that you're playing together. Now, you came to Sundance with your movie, but you and Foo Fighters also played.
It was the gig is sort of an extension. You know, everything sort of happened in steps. The idea of making the film started out this big, and then it grew into something bigger. And because I was talking about there's certain things that I talked about specifically: feel, composition, performance, what it's like to communicate musically with someone. It's one thing to talk about it, but then at the end of the film, you know, we have these performances where I thought, okay, we should demonstrate what we're talking about so people can see. You know, you've got Stevie Nicks and her emotional connection to Sound City. She was a kid there. And that's where she met Mick Fleetwood, and that's how Mick Fleetwood got to Rick Springfield and his love of music. And we try to demonstrate composition and arrangement, and then Jim Keltner. I mean, he's the king of feel. He is a human, like living, breathing rhythm, you know. And for him to describe feel, you know, and then my personal connection to the studio when I get there with Nirvana, and you've got Paul McCartney coming in, and he's the reason why I'm a musician. That if it weren't for the Beatles, I don't think I would have picked up a guitar. So all of these things to demonstrate them in the film to make a point of, you know, what we were saying earlier on. But then to take it to the stage, so now we've taken the studio and we've turned it into a movie, and now we'll take it on the road.
And an album.
And there's a record.
It's everything. You've done it all.
Yeah.
This is your Citizen Kane. You started it.
Oh my God.
This is it.
Thanks,
Take that
man.
responsibility on yourself.
Believe me, you know, it is, I am not kidding. Do not give me whiskey and start talking about the responsibility as a musician, because I will not shut up. I have berated my good friends about their responsibility as an artist for years, because truly, it's one thing, you know, I've been asked recently, I've said that I think this is the most important thing I've ever done as an artist. And I honestly believe that. And people are like, well, wait a minute, you were in Nirvana and you sold 1 billion records. Who cares how many records I've sold? The idea of trying to inspire people to do the same thing, to me, is so much bigger than that. Because as a musician, like, you make music and you write songs kind of in this selfish way. You know, you write music because you want to be a great artist, or you want to be a great musician. Not because you want everyone else to be great musicians. So to me, the small cast and crew of this movie, in some way, we look at ourselves as missionaries, that we're really trying to spread a message of something real and something important, the human element of music, and to inspire kids, this next generation, to like go to the yard sale and buy a guitar and start a band with your friend and get in the garage and sound like and then become the biggest band in the world. Because that's what happens. It happens that way.
It can happen. It's the dream,
Sure.
but the work in it. You show the work that goes into doing that in this. But to go back to what you were saying about interviewing these people, you're one after another is coming in, you're talking to them all. Rick Springfield has a tremendously moving section of that movie about what's happening to him. But I want to talk about Neil Young specifically.
Oh, yeah.
You know, this is the guy, well, because people will look at Sound City and say, is Dave Grohl, is he look at digital as basically Darth Vader? Is this the evil monster entity of your movie?
Right.
And Neil Young says something to you, but I'd like you to talk a little bit about how you got Neil Young to do this, which is not easy.
Well, you know, no, it's not easy to get Neil Young in your movie. It really isn't. Neil's a great example of someone who has married these two worlds, analog and digital. He's Neil Young, so he represents, what he represents to me is a real musical purity or truth. That dude, if he doesn't get it in the second take, then he's not even gonna play it. You know, he's got a part in the movie where he talks about when you hit record, the idea isn't just to do what you've done 1,000 times, it's to get that magic that it happens the first time and you've never done it before, and it happens while you're rolling and you've never even thought of it, and it just comes out of you, and you get that on tape, and that's Crazy Horse. Like, that's Neil Young, you know? But at the same time, he knows more about technology and computers than most anyone else in the movie. You know, he has his own company that he's starting called Pono, where he's talking about the transfer of analog music to digital, and he's a brilliant, brilliant dude. People don't see me on the street and go, oh my God, it's Dave Grohl. They go, what's up, Dave? And then my wife will say, do you know that guy? I'm like,